Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mentor Me Monday. I'm your host, Paul Turner, and thanks for joining me today and hanging out. Today I want to talk about deadlines. That's right, deadlines. How to help your kids meet deadlines for those critical youth events, whether it's summer camp or it's youth convention of some kind or whatever it may be that requires a deposit of any kind. And so in my experience, one thing that I have been trying to do over the years, and I don't know, by the way, there is no perfect method for this, by the way. There's just tips or tricks maybe, ways you can do this. People are always going to be people. Human beings are always going to be human beings. They're always going to be procrastinators and late and all those different things, especially when there's competing needs in somebody's life. Whether it's with students, it's deadlines for school, deadlines for work. Of course, parents, they deal with deadlines for their work and their business and whatever their kids' deadlines are. So there's always these competing dates that are on the calendar there. And so let me just give you a few of the things that I do that try to keep everybody on track best as possible. Number one is the date is the date. And that's just you when you create the date, whatever that date is, I usually build in usually a week to 2 weeks before the money is actually needed, and sometimes even more. So depending on how it goes, because what this will do is it'll set up this is the fact that when you create the deadline and you build the 2 weeks in before you ever need to send in the deadline, that way you have that grace period that will allow you to take in students. And then of course you kind of look like a hero in some ways that you say, oh, well, I don't know if I can. I'll, try to make a phone call or something like that that will help your students get into that camp and talk with those parents, because the parents know they're missing the deadline possibly, or maybe they don't. But either way, build in a flex time as to when that money can get in. And then in doing that, you'll obviously create some space for you and for your kids to be able to get in on the event that you're trying to pull off there. Also, we want to make sure that build in the deadline dates. And when you do a calendar to your parents, I just did a calendar out to my parents that I built the deadlines into that. I built so there's when there's dates on the calendar, there are dates for deadlines for when money is supposed to be due. And once again, people are going to be people. There's competing needs, competing other things. There's confusion, those things. Anytime you can make, obviously, put reminders. We do a Facebook group for our parents, so I put reminders up there, things like that. Anything you can do to help facilitate those reminders are the reminders. But the date is the date. And so when you create that date, obviously then say, look, there's nothing beyond that. But the second thing I would say is this is build consistency. If the date is the date and you say, I cannot take it, and of course, you don't want to come across as hard. That's why you build the flex time in. But at some point, you're going to have to say, there is no room, or I cannot get your money in. And you have to be able to set that standard, because otherwise you are creating more work for yourself. And so one thing you could do is either you can build in some penalties for not getting. In other words, there's a $20, the camp may, or whatever event you may do, may have penalties, but you may want to add on extra penalties, and I say penalties. But basically what you're saying is this, is look, if your money's not in, then there's going to be a $20 missions fee. In other words, there's going to be $20 extra that's going to go in there. It's going to go to some other kid's camp. And let the parents know that. Say, look, we're going to require you that you give $20 extra to some other kid that needs money to do their camp or do their missions trip or something like that. So build in some of those things that are going to help parents or encourage parents to do that. But you want to build a set of consistency across the board as to when the date is, when you accept payments, and all those kind of good things. You may want to open up other options for payments. If a parent wants to pay right there, maybe you want to do like a PayPal account and let parents be able to feed into that, where parents can do that and you have it connected to your church's bank account, things like that. Or I also have a swiper that I use on my phone that you can use that PayPal will send you, so that for the immediacy of that, if you want to try to get parents to do that, if they're they can't write a check, things like that, then have them do the swiper on there, and that will be able to help relieve that, take different forms of payment basically to be able to allow parents to do that. And the third and final thing is this. I've been fooling around with this idea for some time, and I may install it at some point, but why not do your events like a Kickstarter campaign? Now, if you look at Kickstarter, if you're not familiar with Kickstarter, Kickstarter is where campaigns and other things where people are trying to launch products or launch inventions or games, whatever they may be working on. But they always build in a set of rewards. If you go to Kickstarter.com, you can always check those out and how those are formatted. But what you can do is build in rewards for early payments, to get your payment. And if you pay the whole thing by this date, your kid's going to get a t-shirt, their lunch is going to be paid for, something that's not going to break the bank, or something that you build into that cost that's going to help you be able to do a list of rewards. If you get it in by this date, you get this reward. If you get it in by this date, you get this reward. And if you get it by this, you get this reward. And if you get it past this date, there are no rewards. So I don't know how that works yet. That's kind of formulated in my brain. If you have an idea about that, of the rewards you may list, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Please leave me a comment down below. Anyway, that's my thoughts for today. If you have your comments, I would love to hear how you would do it or are doing it to keep your kids on a deadline when money is due. If you are brand spanking new, thanks for joining me today. And if you would like videos like this in your inbox, please hit the subscribe button right there. That will get videos like this in your inbox every week. And of course, if you are a regular, thank you so much for being a part of this community where you get your youth ministry tips and tricks and ideas and things like that. Of course, if you have any ideas for a subject or topic you'd like me to cover, be sure to leave me a question down below. Otherwise, I've been your host, Paul Turner. This has been Mentor Me Monday, and I will see you next time. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.